Hello, and welcome to Pickle TV. I'm your host, Amanda Kowski. I'm Gary's daughter, here visiting family, and Gary's asked me if I would host some episodes of Pickle TV, so here I am. Now, if you found our show on Facebook, YouTube, or any other video sharing site, please check out our website at www.pickle.tv. It's the place to find all the videos Gary will record from all the conferences he will attend. If you like this show and you like these conferences, please tell your friends about Pickle TV. You may also think about subscribing if you really like it. On this episode, I'm bringing you another speaker from the Emerging Tech Conference that was held in Dallas, Texas during June 2012. If you're not familiar with the Emerging Tech Conference, you should really check out their website at www.etcdallas.com. On this episode, I bring you a pair of speakers, Tony Edwards and G.I. Sander. Their presentation is Word of Mouth Marketing, Past, Present, and Future. Let's watch it now.
As Tony mentioned, G.I. Sanders, CEO of Fancorps, Tony Edwards, Director of Sales. We're here to talk a little bit about the past, present, and future of word of mouth marketing. A lot about what we've learned over the years being in this space, and how Fancorps plays into that, which we're going to get into towards the end. So, jumping right into it, this guy's got the right idea, and I think you guys will probably be on board with him. How many people have stayed at a hotel, eaten at a restaurant, and written a review based on an experience, good or bad? Okay, cool. What about when you go to buy a new product? How many people out there source Amazon for reviews, even if you're not going to buy it on Amazon? I know I do that. Even if I'm at a Best Buy, see a product, I'm going to go look what people say on Amazon because it's easy, and it's really easy gauge to know what people are saying about those products.
In addition to that, I mean, how many people are just today using the hashtag ETCDallas? If you're not, you should be. It's a great way, of course, to join in the conversations that are happening here today, right now, but it's also about sharing those conversations with people who aren't here today. Like I said, this guy's got variety. We all want to stand up on a soapbox and shout out to the world. Some of us are definitely a little bit more obsessive than others, myself included. And G.I. can attest that I am pretty obsessive about Instagramming pictures of the food I eat. And the food
Every meal.
Every single meal. Whether it's my afternoon snack, or the cool diner I go to, or, grilling in the backyard. And a lot of people think it's funny. They laugh at first. I think I'm a little crazy for doing that. But a lot of people engage back with me and are asking me, hey, where is Bubba's? I've heard about that place. What is your recipe for grilling pork shish kebabs? And it's just a way for us all to, again, interact with each other. And that right there is exactly what word of mouth marketing is. It's about, again, shouting out to the world about our experiences in life. Now, word of mouth marketing is by far not a new concept in our history. From the early days of cavemen, man was talking about the nearest hunting grounds, watering holes, which cave had the hottest cave women babes. As television and radio came into the picture, and mail and other ways that we can communicate with one another, it becomes increasingly apparent that even from the times of the Old West with, we're good?
We're modulating just a little.
Oh, gotcha.
You were too loud is what he was saying.
A lot of people say I'm too loud, but my voice has a stronger word of mouth value out there. But it's apparent that we all love to talk to each other, whatever kind of medium that is. Kind of take you through a little journey in the history of word of mouth marketing. In 1899, a guy named Francis Woodard bought a patent for powdered gelatin from a guy named Pearl White, $400. Now, Pearl White at the time had no idea how to market this product, or more importantly, get people talking about this product. Very soon, Frank and the Genesee Food Product came up with a revolutionary idea at the time, which was to send an army of salespeople out across America and hand out free Jell-O cookbooks. Sounds pretty easy, sounds pretty simple, but the result for them was extremely effective. They got housewives all over the country using the product, and more importantly, talking about the recipes that they were making in church groups, in book clubs, in their local markets. Fast forward a little bit to the 1930s, when radio dramas started coming on the air. Pretty soon, companies like Colgate, Palmolive jumped on the bandwagon, started sponsoring these programs. Of course, coining the moniker, the soap opera, and their goal was to target a demographic, get them to use a specific product, and more importantly, get them to talk about that product. And to switch gears just a little bit, 1975, two kids in Indiana were huge fans of the band Kiss. They were such huge fans that they started calling the radio station. Started telling all their friends about Kiss. The radio station kept saying, no, we're not going to be playing their music. So they just continued to go out there and fight for airplay. They started recruiting their friends. They started calling themselves the Kiss Army. They called themselves the president and the field marshal. Soon enough, we had a whole bunch of people calling the radio station. Within about 6 months, the radio station started playing the record. Very soon after that, Kiss the band and their management company took over the Kiss Army. And it remains to this day as a hugely important piece of marketing for not only Kiss, but for many different music record labels and artists around the globe. And their goal again was to spread the word about their products, get people talking about it, and ultimately get butts in the seats. Now, take that entire concept of word of mouth marketing and really start to think about the implications that the World Wide Web has given us now. From the invention of the web, it was by Al Gore, right?
Yeah.
To bulletin boards, AOL Instant Messenger, to forums, and then on to Friendster and MySpace, who really pioneered the social media space, to Facebook and Twitter today, who have perfected that space. Today, we absolutely have an endless amount of possibilities that we can connect with the world around us, whether it's people from our high school, people around the globe, anywhere from Google Plus to YouTube to Pinterest to Instagram, we have the ability to connect and communicate with those around us.
So looking at these connections, the way that we interact with each other is obvious, but the way that we started to interact with the sodas that we drink or the coffee that we have each morning or the afternoon snack Tony may be eating, it's very apparent that now brands are on board with this concept and it's impacting the way that they market. Just these 3 brands alone have accumulated over 100 million likes on Facebook. That's a 10th of Facebook's entire user base as they inch towards 1 billion users at the end of this year. The other important number is the talking about us metric. So there's a metric that if you've got a brand page, you can tell how many people are mentioning your brand on Facebook. So they've got 600,000 people talking about just these 3 brands. Really speaks to the validity and the fact that we're really engaged with these brands now and we have that deep communication with them. 20 years ago, we could talk about Coca-Cola or Starbucks or whatever it may be, but they didn't have a way to talk back. Now we actually have a line of communication and a relationship with the sodas we drink. So that's a very new thing. So it's very apparent that we're all engaged at this point with brands. They're engaged with us and vice versa. So the first thing we want to do in going down the path is looking at technologies that are easily accessible for brands to increase this engagement. So you've got a Facebook and a Twitter, Google Plus, things like that. And really the first step to take that to the next level to capitalize on engagement is just like in any relationship, you've got to listen. So the first set of technologies we're going to look at here we go. So listen up. You can take technologies like a Radian 6, which is a very top-level enterprise tool. And these technologies give brands the ability to listen in on the conversations. You've got to understand what people are saying, what the sentiment is, and have that voice to be able to participate and understand what people are talking about with your brand. So they give you a great tool set to be able to monitor and analyze tracking of hashtags, again, tracking these conversations, understand what your consumer base is saying about you. That's the first step in really understanding engagement, increasing engagement.
So now that you're listening to these conversations, you're monitoring them, you're using these great tools to see what's being said, to gauge the sentiment out there, you absolutely need to take part in these conversations. And this truly is a huge step for brands nowadays because we need to humanize that brand. We need to make it personal. We need to actively participate in the conversations that are happening about us and to us. A lot of these tools, a lot of people are using today, from Hootsuite and TweetDeck, sort of on the consumer side of things, to some more enterprise solutions like Victor and Season. These solutions have given brands the ability to properly disseminate the information and the intriguing content that they're creating and blast it out via various social networks that we've got out there. And it can get confusing. We've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, we've got Google+, we've got Pinterest, we've got all of these things that are happening and different communities that are going on within those platforms, and we need a way to manage it. And these publishing tools, if you will, give us that ability to take part in the conversation, and not only that, but get involved in things like customer service, feedback, to really communicate and get involved with those conversations.
So after you've listened and you've opened up the lines of communication, at this point you really got to make it fun. And this is where gamification comes on board. Foursquare has really pioneered this space. I don't know how many people checked in, on Foursquare here at the convention center today. I know I did. I didn't get a badge for it or anything, which is really disappointing, but we really strive for these badges now. They mean absolutely nothing yet. When we get one, we announce it to the world because we've eaten at the most, Mexican food restaurants or whatever it may be. And it makes it fun. It does, regardless if they have an actual value or not. So taking that concept and taking what people are used to with games like Farmville and Angry Birds and the way that they're experiencing these gamified environments, this is a logical next step, because if you're going to increase engagement, you've really got to make it fun. It can't all be about just your brand's marketing message. So Foursquare's done a great job with it. There's also other companies like a Badgeville, Big Door down the line there that give companies this ability on their pre-existing website or blog as opposed to just in the social side. So making it fun, extremely important, especially if you want that long-term relationship.
So a lot of people think that these virtual badges and virtual rewards really don't mean anything. And some people will very much argue that it means a whole lot when you're the mayor of a certain location. But what about real-world rewards? That's really kind of a final step where brands can truly reward their customers for taking an active role, an ongoing active role, of course transactionally based, with their product. We're all members of all of these. Hotels.com, American Airlines, MyCoke Rewards, we're all earning up those points for every time that we interact with that brand, every time we buy something from that brand. So these are there's a lot of great solutions out there for enterprise companies. If you're talking about in the short term, there's a lot of great ways that you can go out there and reward your customers, for remaining customers, staying loyal to you. But just here at Dallas, there's companies like Briarly and BI Worldwide that create loyalty programs that really help you take that reward aspect to the next level.
So at this point, we've engaged and we've listened and we're communicating, we're making it fun, we're paying it back to them. And at this point, what's next? What do we do? In our opinion, word of mouth marketing really is the final piece in this engagement. So it's the past, the present, and really where we're headed. And it truly is the most powerful form of marketing. This is a great quote. Word of mouth builds brands, drives sales, and sparks conversations, C2C and B2C. This is a quote from the Word of Mouth Marketing Association. Yes, there's actually an association. They've been around since 2004. They do an incredible job at educating not only brands but also consumers about what word of mouth is, how to participate in it, and really best practices, how to pull it off and be successful from the brand side. So they've got several hundred members and they hold great quarterly events. And you can see leading companies like an AT&T and Edelman are involved in this because they know they have to stay involved and stay on the cutting edge of what word of mouth is doing to the consumer side and really how it's changing and evolving, especially as it pertains to new technologies.
I will tell you, WOMA puts on some amazing events. Once a year, they put on their WOMA Summit, and if you needed any other excuse to get involved, the WOMA Summit's in Vegas every year. And it's always a great time. This year it's being held at the Wynn, so definitely if you want to get involved with Word of Mouth Marketing Association, you should check them out. But they definitely are not the only player in this game right now. Wordofmouth.org is a relatively new organization that's a little bit of a spin-off from socialmedia.org. Not sure if anybody here is familiar with socialmedia.org, but it was actually created several years back, probably before that, probably around 2000, 2001. And their idea there was to bring C-level marketing executives together from Fortune 500 companies to navigate this new social media space that was bubbling up at the time. So from that organization came wordofmouth.org. And wordofmouth.org just held one of their first events called the Word of Mouth Crash Course in Austin, Texas back in May. And it was fantastic. It had a lot of great workshops, case studies about how to measure word of mouth, how to take part in the conversations, how to identify influencers, how to stay ethical, looking at FTC guidelines, things like that. And we saw some great case studies from Maker's Mark, from Louisville Slugger, from Southwest Airlines, a lot of those things. So absolutely, listen to what we're saying today about word of mouth marketing, but if you want to dig in deeper, check out WOMA.org, check out wordofmouth.org.
So the numbers don't lie that we're on board with word of mouth as much as WOMA and wordofmouth.org are. The average consumer mentioned brands 90 times per week. May seem like a lot, but if you think about all the times you mentioned where you ate or a TV show you saw last night, the movie you went to, the car you drive, the phone you use, you're mentioning brands in all these conversations in one way or the other. The other key is that we always want to share that information. We're very willing to give it up, good or bad, regardless of how that experience affects you and the people you're talking to. The fact that people trust when we're talking about these things, very important. So 90% of online consumers trust recommendations. Again, goes back to what I was talking about with the reviews on hotel, the reviews on Amazon, and those types of things. Very important, the fact that when a friend of yours posts something or tells you or texts you or calls you about an experience they have, you trust that because you're friends with them, and that's really what makes word of mouth so important and so impactful.
So before we get real super duper deep into word of mouth marketing, let's take a step back for just a second and see how it stacks up to something that we all know and maybe you may or may not love. Traditional advertising. If we were listening to Mike Horton's presentation this morning, he hit the nail on the head that traditional advertising is dying. It's dying a very quick death. Some people mentioned different ways that we can get people to see our online and our print and radio and television advertising, but we're talking about technologies like Time Warner Cable that give you the ability to either skip or not skip DVR commercials. Methods by which we can make sure that people online are seeing our advertising.
Wait, we're not going to be able to get through commercials?
No. Time Warner is trying to stop that.
Wow, that's terrible.
But we all know, we've seen studies that says when you look at your Facebook page, you don't look at the right-hand side at all. It's all the hot spots at the top left. This is what traditional advertising is. It's very untrusted. It's very much overlooked. It's low impact, and it's very much a quantity versus quality model. Now let's take that and compare it to word-of-mouth marketing. Again, I can't stress this enough. This is what we believe, that word-of-mouth marketing truly is the most powerful form of marketing. It is a very credible and trusted and even an intimate exchange of information from our friends and our families, from our social connections, and to our social connections. It's personalized. We're sharing things about products and we're putting our own spin on it. We're sharing our own take on different news stories, things like that. And it absolutely 100% is all based on quality impressions out there.
So when you're talking about word of mouth and how it relates to social, which is what we're now going to dive into even further, you can't really go too far without mentioning Facebook. So raise your hand if you know what this represents. Anybody? Besides people who I know that are in Fancorps. All right, so this is a visual representation of Facebook's EdgeRank. And if you don't know what EdgeRank is, there's a lot of great information on it. More or less, what EdgeRank means is that Facebook is in control of what you see on your Facebook page. You're not in control of it. You can go friend as many people as you want. You can go like as many pages as you want. But in the end, those only go so far. EdgeRank determines what you see and what you don't see based on how much you interact with brands. So obviously this can be really impactful because if you go like a brand's page, you would probably expect that, all right, now I'm going to get information from that brand. Maybe you go like Coca-Cola. Well, EdgeRank may not let Coca-Cola through to your feed. It's an algorithm based on the amount of participation you have with your friends and connections and those brands. It determines what you see. So it can be very impactful, and it's something in the word of mouth space and social space that you've got to really understand and wrap your head around, especially as it pertains to a brand and their page. So this is a study we basically did of our official Fancorps page. So we're a brand, obviously, ourselves. We've got 17,000 likes on Facebook, right? So you would think when we post something, we thought we were reaching 17,000 people. Not even close. A typical post that a brand pushes out reaches about 7 to 10% of their likes. So for us, that's a couple thousand people. But for a Coca-Cola who's got maybe 40 million likes, they're reaching a tiny percentage of those, even though people have opted in and said, yeah, I like you, I'd love to get information from you. It's not the case anymore. So, well, it kind of is if you're willing to pay for it. So now, with a new feature that Facebook's launched called Promoted Posts, you can pay to reach more of your likes. So we pushed out a status update and paid $50 or almost $50. And in the 3 days that these promoted posts run, we were able to pay and reach 7,000 out of our 17,000. So we still weren't even able to reach half of our likes with our post. It didn't even reach half of it, which is really frustrating. But it's pretty ingenious for Facebook, or at least I believe. Yeah. So it depends which way you look at it. But if you look at Facebook and their ability to drive revenue for their company, they went out there, they told brands, hey, go promote your Facebook page, get everyone to like it. Now they're going to charge you to reach those people.
when I first heard about this, I was flabbergasted. So think about it this way. Think about if you have 500 contacts in your address book. You decide you want to send an email out to all those 500 contacts. But MacMail, Outlook decides, whoa, nope, we're only going to send this email out to about 17% of the people that you have in your address book. To me, that's exactly what Facebook is doing with EdgeRank. And like I said, G.I. thinks it's genius. I think it's shiny, but a little bit genius at the same time.
So the promoted posts are for smaller brands. There's also a tool called Reach Generator that bigger brands use. And they pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get these posts pushed through, as opposed to the $50 that we push through as a smaller brand. So there's tools that Facebook are selling to these bigger brands to allow them to reach more likes.
So let's think about this in a real world model. G.I. is a hamburger snob. He only likes to eat at places, real dive places, mom and pop hamburger joints, Jake's, some other really cool hamburger joints.
Angry Dog, I love Angry Dog.
Angry Dog, it's a good one. I love hamburgers wherever they are. Whether it's Chili's, Applebee's, Red Robin, TGI Fridays, all those great places. Now let's say that both myself and G.I. like Chili's on Facebook. G.I. rarely interacts with Chili's on their Facebook page. So every time Chili's posts something, he absolutely does not see that coming up in his newsfeed wall. But I do. I visit the Chili's page all the time to find out what about new menu items, new coupons, new deals that they've got going on. So when Chili's decides to post something, let's say they decide to post that they've got a coupon for buy one, get one free Big Mouth burger. And I decide I'm going to share that coupon onto my wall. And I've been telling G.I. about how great this Big Mouth burger is, and all of a sudden I decide to share this coupon with him. Or I decide to even just post it on my wall. Well, G.I. is going to see that post because we interact with each other so much on Facebook. Now, the average person out there has about 350 friends on Facebook. So just think about the implications on how much we're connected with other people and how far we truly can go by mobilizing our consumers to share that content with their extended networks.
So that brings us to solutions that allow brands to facilitate that entire process, to allow a brand like a Chili's to have an impression on Tony and get him to turn around and amplify that message to his friends. How does a brand identify who Tony is out of their millions of likes? How are they going to encourage him to do it more often, manage that relationship, and then even quantify and reward Tony for it? So that's where these solutions come into play. So these are brand advocacy solutions, or word of mouth solutions, if you will. There's a lot of great companies, Fancorps being one of them, which we'll tell you about, obviously. but we're not alone in this space. Before we dive into talking about some of these, we've kind of got them split into two categories, all right? So out of everyone who's playing in this space, most of those go into two buckets, either the endorsers or the advocates. You can tell which one we think kind of throws the harder punch, right? There's a lot of value for both of them. There's good, you know, it really depends on what the brand's looking to do, what their goals and strategy are, as it pertains to if they need an endorser model or an advocate model.
So the first one that we'll take a look at is the endorser solution. So the endorser solution really kind of takes its roots from traditional market research, going out there, getting a large group of consumers to kind of join one group, and then activating them with different market research tasks and various things like that. The first thing to note about the endorser solution, first of all, again, like I said, very effective tool if you're looking to go out there and do some simple sharing. You don't have a built-in group of advocates, but you need some consumers to help you spread the word about your products or your services. That's the first key to the endorser solution. Secondly, it's a very short-term solution. It's not about building these long-term relationships with your consumers. It's about going out there and doing short-term, campaign-driven campaigns, if you will. Another thing, like I mentioned, is that it's very focused on market research. This is a great way for companies to go out there and not just hit their own customers, but to go into a preset group and get some information about them through polls and offers and surveys and things like that, and really get an idea of what that whole space looks like. There's some great solutions out there. CrowdTap is one of them. They do some really great polls and surveys. Or another great company here locally is Blue Calypso. We've got a great mobile advertising platform that's really key if you've got a local business and you're looking to get the word out there. So those are really the endorser solution side of things. Again, they're simple, they're short-term, they're campaign-driven, and really centered on that whole idea of market research.
So in looking at the advocate solution, the main difference, the first one, is that it's longer term. It's not going to be based around a singular campaign or a product. It's looking to develop a long-term relationship with the consumer who already loves your brand. And it really capitalizes on that affinity and that loyalty. So it's looking to engage them on the long term. It's going to build loyalty, build that relationship, and that's going to give the brand the ability to really open that up and expand upon it and get people who already love your restaurant or your brand, your product, whatever it is, to kind of grow with you. So it's got a lot of deep engagement. Tony mentioned endorser solutions based on simplicity. This can go a lot deeper than that because again, you're dealing with people who already love your brand, so they're much more willing to commit and go deeper in regards to what they'll go out there and do and say for you. So it really generates a lot of continuous trusted peer-to-peer recommendations as opposed to short-term, simple. So one of the things that both of these solutions have in common is that a lot of them reward people. And that's kind of a hot topic in our industry, in our space, whether or not a reward has a negative or positive impact. Meaning if I'm going to go out and say, I love, Angry Dog mom and pop burgers, that if Angry Dog decides to incentivize me with a coupon or a free Angry Dog t-shirt or a free burger the next time I come in, does that have a negative impact in regards to how my friends are going to perceive that message? Well, we don't think it does. We think everybody likes to get patted on the back. We think everybody likes to say, hey, good job, thanks for doing this for us. We think it really further reinforces that relationship with the consumer, and that genuine impression is just going to go a lot further with an incentive behind it. That's what we truly believe. Now, there's others that think that it really detracts from it, but we don't believe that. We think a reward, again, everyone likes to get that pat on the back, even if it's, hey, thanks for helping us out. I think that goes a long way and really creates that long-term relationship. So she's not with him because of all the gifts he's given her over the years. She could be, but we like to think of old couple like this, So she's really with him because she loves him. That's the perfect analogy for us, is that relationship, regardless of how many great gifts he's given her. It's like, that's not why she's sticking around. She's sticking around because of that relationship. And that's how we believe the rewards play in.
So myself and GI and all of our partners at Fancorps, we've spent a collective amount of time, 15 plus years, talking about and really entrenched in marketing, social media, and word-of-mouth marketing. We all have a similar background in the music industry. And we talked about that earlier. The music industry was always on the forefront of social media and word-of-mouth marketing. But from that experience in the music industry, we learned a lot about what to do and what not to do in marketing a product, both on and offline. And for us, as Master Yoda puts it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And what we've learned and what we have really strived to offer is to build a perfect platform from an advocacy and a word-of-mouth marketing idea and premise. So to give you a little bit about, we talked about some of these solutions, to give you a little bit of insight in what we've created and what we believe are the best tools out there to manage word-of-mouth marketing and brand advocacy, we're going to show you a small little clip here about Fancorps so you can know us a little bit better.
Social media is great. It gives you the ability to communicate directly with your core consumers. It's easy to keep them informed about new products, events, and offers. But that's not enough. Social media channels allow for engagement with your pre-existing fans and consumers. But they lack the tools and ability to reach beyond that. Don't you want to reach new consumers who don't already like and follow you? Isn't the idea to offer new and exciting things to convert non-consumers into paying ones? The solution is Fancorps, a web and mobile platform that allows for your passionate consumers to become ambassadors for your brand, all while allowing you the ability to manage, track, and quantify their peer-to-peer recommendations and word-of-mouth marketing as it unfolds. With Fancorps, your brand ambassadors are given a place to call home, a custom community where they can engage and connect on a much deeper level than with traditional social media channels. They love your brand and they want to support it. Give them the direction, tools, and knowledge they need. Pay it back to your loyal ambassadors with virtual and real-world prizes, badges, contests, and giveaways. Complement your ongoing social media marketing with an organic message spoken from the mouths of those who believe. All of this is possible with Fancorps. Social networking with a purpose.
So that's a little bit about us. Now, what differentiates Fancorps from a lot of the competition? We showed the slide of all of the different competitors, and we've touched on a few of them. First and foremost, what differentiates us is that we're multi-platform. What that means is if you're a consumer and you want to opt in to a Fancorps community that a brand is utilizing, you can do that from the web, you can do it via a Facebook app, or you can do it even from a mobile app. And that's really important to allow for multiple entry points. The other key for our technology is custom branded. So it's going to look and feel like the brand's pre-existing marketing, whether that be the website or whether you're coming from print or TV or whichever way you've gotten there. It's going to be very seamless in regards to how it's presented to the consumer. There's a big focus on community, and this is important because again, if you want that engagement that we talked about, you want that long-term relationship we talked about, you got to keep people involved and let them know that there are others out there like you. So when you get involved in any community, online, offline, the fact that you're within a group of peers keeps you coming back for more because it keeps it interesting, and that's really important. That really plays into the deep amount of communication our platform offers as well. Obviously, there's a social feed and there's messaging. There's also the ability to have scheduled chats. There's forum sections. So lots of different tools that will enable a brand to communicate on a much deeper level beyond the comment, beyond the like. That's something like a Facebook or a lot of our competitors are. Customizable initiatives are really important. So if a brand needs consumers to retweet something for them, very easily done within our platform, the ability to track it and reward them for that. But it can also be something real world. You need someone to go out and actually try a product, report feedback, tell their friends about it. So it can be everything from small to large initiatives in regards to what a brand can utilize Fancorps to empower their advocates to do. Any technology platform is going to have to quantify results and impact. So it doesn't matter what we're talking about, what space, whether it's word of mouth or not. You've got to be able to provide your clients with a data set that will tell them what they're getting out of the technology. We do a great job of that as well.
So we've been talking a little bit about Chili's throughout this presentation. The reason is because they're one of our favorite clients. So to give you an idea of how we started working with Chili's to build their word-of-mouth marketing brand advocacy, we started back with them when they had just hit 1 million likes on Facebook. And that seems like a lot. They're at 2.3 million right now, which is a huge testament to how aggressive they are in their email marketing and their social media marketing. But all of that being said, even with that massive amount of likes that they have for the brand that they were still asking the question, what next? How do we deeper engage with those consumers? And the answer for them was the Chili Head Nation. And again, the concept is super simple. Ask your existing customers, are you a Chili Head? Do you live, breathe, and eat Chili's? Do you want to earn free food, coupons, gift certificates, merchandise for helping us spread the word to your friends and family? That's key. Right off the bat, they're like, this sounds exciting, I want to get involved. So once they get involved, all of those things that G.I. mentioned, they can now get involved with that community, via our mobile, via our Facebook app. They can get involved in various activities and initiatives that they can be involved with, and all of those initiatives are all harkening back to the brand, and of course, have the main goal to drive traffic to these brick-and-mortar locations and to spread the word about their various menu items, locations, and anything else that they happen to be promoting.
So since Chili's launched the Chili Head Nation via the Fancorps platform, it's been 7 or 8 months, and they've identified 6,000 Chili Heads, if you will, over the course of this time. So Tony mentioned they have 2.3 million likes on Facebook now, and only 6,000. It's a very small percentage that really speaks to the quality versus quantity approach. You're not looking to get thousands and millions of consumers engaged in an advocacy program, because you'll never be able to manage it, and chances are that there's not that many people passionate about your brand, unless you're an Apple or something like that. But for a reasonably sized, brand, you're looking for just the cream of the crop, the people who are really passionate. So those 6,000 have been identified, and they have a combined social reach of over 1 million, which is their number of friends and followers they have, an average of 465, which is more than 100 over the industry.
It's a lot higher than the industry average of 350.
An average cloud score of 23, so if you don't know about cloud, you can look into that. It's a kind of a standard on influence these days. A cloud score of 23 is pretty good. Anything above 15 or 20 is pretty good. I mean, unless you're like a social media dude.
I have a cloud score of 60.
Yeah, it makes some tough job. 4,500 social recommendations have generated 2 million word-of-mouth impressions. Now keep in mind, these aren't normal ad impressions. These are word-of-mouth impressions. A lot more valuable because, like we've talked about the entire hour, we trust our friends. So that word-of-mouth impression is much more valuable. And those have been in regards to what Chili's does each year with St. Jude's, with new margaritas, new menu items, new locations, mobile apps, whatever they're pushing out from an ad message standpoint, they're getting their advocates to amplify it to their friends and capitalize on that word-of-mouth.
So to really wrap it up for everything that we've talked about today, again, I can't stress enough how much we believe that word-of-mouth marketing truly is the most powerful form of marketing. And whether you're looking for an endorser solution or you use any of the competitors or any of those solutions that we mentioned today, or you use Fancorps, we truly believe that this is the next step in engaging your customers and your consumers. But to get to that word-of-mouth marketing space, you've got to take these first steps. You need to engage your customers. You need to listen to the conversations that are happening out there. You need to take part of those conversations, to humanize your brand, to communicate with them. You need to make it fun for them. You need to make it engaging. They're not going to come back if you're boring. Now lastly, you got to reward them a little bit. You got to give them a little scratch for staying loyal and building that brand affinity. Once you get to that point, it's absolutely the time to take that next step and to truly build brand advocacy communities. Whether you're looking for short-term campaigns like the endorser solutions, or you're looking for some long-term solutions that can come from an advocacy solutions, it's definitely important for you to take that next step. So what does that mean for the future? Well, as Mike Ward put it, it means flying cars. And for those who don't know this picture, I hear that the Palace Theater here in Grapevine will be showing Back to the Future this Friday night. But for us, truly, the future of consumer engagement is word-of-mouth marketing. And the future of word-of-mouth marketing is just going to keep capitalizing on the fact that Never before in our history have we been so connected and so engaged with the people around us and the brands and products that we that we interact with on a daily basis. So for us, it's going to be about continuing that engagement, finding creative and new ways for brands to engage on an even deeper and personal level with their consumers, and to continue to amplify their message through word-of-mouth marketing.
So thanks again to Tony Sakala and Emerging Tech Conference. We're very excited to be here and present this to you today. Obviously, you can connect with Tony and myself on Twitter, and you can actually download this presentation from my slideshare.net. It's up there already. So appreciate your time, and we'd love to take any questions. I think we have a few minutes if anyone's got any questions.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this week's session. Make sure to come back next week for another video from the Emerging Tech Conference. If you like what Pickle TV is doing, I would ask you to consider dilldomains.com the next time you buy a domain name or website hosting. Dilldomains.com is my daddy's GoDaddy reseller account, plain and simple. So if you like GoDaddy, or if you use GoDaddy, please consider using Dill Domains instead. In other words, buy your GoDaddy stuff from my daddy. Well, that's all for today. So until next week, this is your host, Amanda Kowski, saying goodbye and thanks for watching.